Have you got to the point where you are overwhelmed? Overwhelmed with stuff and overwhelmed with having to think about all the stuff. What I have come to realise over this year so far, when I got to the point at the beginning of the year and something changed in my thoughts, my mind. I'm not sure exactly what it was, but I knew something had to change. My home was getting swallowed up with clutter. My thoughts were preoccupied with the clutter frequently, and interestingly, I knew it was affecting my family. My kids, all on their own, have tidied and decluttered their own bedrooms, as they just needed a haven of their own where they could breathe, feel calm and not feel overwhelmed. I don't even feel like my home was horrific. It was just very untidy, with unsorted stuff from house moves, kids getting older and outgrowing items that weren't being used anymore or didn't have a permanent home or simply weren't taken to their permanent home. But this is what clutter looks like, and this is how it evolves. It is a slow-moving process, and it never just happens overnight. It is a story of unmade decisions, with an aspect of fear sprinkled in, and an equation of more coming in than is going out. So, in this video, which is part 1 of 2 videos, let's talk about 5 principles of decluttering while I declutter my garage. Principle number 1. The most important principle to remember is that this is about you. It's actually not about stuff and items, objects, and making things tidy and pretty. We can't take any of this stuff with us when we depart this world. It's all about your well-being and your mental health and understanding that you are worth it. You are worth having an uncluttered, calm, peaceful home to come back to each day. A space that is a haven and not a burden. Of course, it is lovely to have a home that is tidy, organised, and you wouldn't feel embarrassed if someone knocked on your door. And this is a wonderful outcome of decluttering. But the overarching reason for decluttering is that your inner peace is far superior and to be highly valued over any clutter that is suffocating your home. Decluttering is a powerful tool when it comes to our mental health. Decluttering actually changes the type of hormone that is getting delivered to our brain. Our cortisol or stress hormone levels are reduced when we declutter, and studies have shown that people are less irritable, less distracted, more productive, and better able to process information with an uncluttered and organised work or living space. So above all and any reason to declutter, your health and well-being is the most worthy reason always. The second principle of decluttering is to declutter before you organise. This is crucial and has to be one of the foundational principles when we are approaching a decluttering journey. You can't tidy clutter. When we declutter before organising, we are reducing the quantity and volume of stuff, items, objects that need to be organised, stored and managed. It's just creating less inventory overall that you have to make decisions on. We are also creating space for only the most valuable, important and functional items to remain in our homes. We are also removing items that are taking up precious real estate in your home because they've never been used, they do not get used, or will never get used again. We are creating space in our brains to be able to keep decluttering and process what the next best steps are with the remaining items that we are keeping. It is just so much less overwhelming and stressful to contemplate organising the items that you have deemed important enough to stay in your home versus a room full of clutter, rubbish, and items hidden underneath other stuff, and you didn't even remember they were there. Principle number 3 is to start with a space that feels manageable to you. This is going to be different for different people, and actually it will even depend on how you are feeling on any given day as well. Tiredness, stress, busyness, etc. are all going to impact on how big of a decluttering task or space you can tackle on any given day. Start with the surface of a desk, or one corner of a room, or one box that is clogging up a cupboard. By achieving success in decluttering one space, it will empower you and give you motivation to continue to the next space. On this day, I decided I had the time and mental capacity to try and declutter half of my garage, just half. One thing I will suggest though is to also think about starting in a space that I call the white elephant in the room space. It's that space that is so cluttered that you have put it off again and again because it seems unapproachable. My garage was my white elephant space. You think, oh, I'll just put it off until another day because I've got washing or vacuuming or dishes to do. But the reality is that those daily tasks will still get done because they just do. You find the time to fit them around other stuff happening in your home. But decluttering really is something that you have to set aside time for and make a conscious choice and effort to do a certain amount each day or week. But start with a manageable space and progress from there. Small, consistent habits for the win, remember. Principle number 4 is remove, relocate, keep. These are the basic overarching guidelines to have revolving in your head when making decisions on what to declutter or not. Am I going to remove this item, either to the rubbish or to take it to the second-hand store? Is this an item that is worthy of me keeping? And am I going to relocate this item? So, does this item need to be kept, but it's in the wrong room or space and needs to be relocated to the more appropriate space? So, remove, relocate, keep. Those are the overarching guidelines. But if you are having difficulty making a declutter decision within these basic guidelines, then you can also ask yourself, is this item the best? The best quality? The best that I can afford? Is it my favourite? And is it necessary? If you get really stuck on making a decision on a particular item, then you can have a think about box, where you can put the item in a box for a period of time, 3 months, 6 months, whatever you deem necessary. And if you haven't thought about it, let alone used it, then you can safely let it go. But try and have basic questions that you are asking yourself, and not too many questions, so that you can make quick decluttering decisions without stalling constantly. And my number 5 principle is to find a home for everything. The screaming problem with clutter is that you can do your best to move it around, put it in piles, store it in the closet where you can't see it. But at the end of the day, it can't be tidied. The sheer accumulating volume of stuff just becomes unmanageable, both physically and mentally. Our brains are actually not designed to be able to cope with the chaos that clutter brings. So once the decluttering has been done, and you have removed, relocated, and kept only what is deemed worthy, then the next process needs to be to find a permanent space within your home where each item will live and be returned to every time it is used. If you cannot find a permanent home for it, then either the question needs to be asked again, do I need to declutter this item? Or do I need to bring a storage solution into my home to be able to give it a permanent place? But once everything has a landing space to take it back to, then the piles, the messy services, all the items just lying around your home will no longer be a problem. Of course, everyone in the family also needs to be trained to take the said items back to their designated places. But this is a totally achievable goal once the clutter has gone. So as you can see, I achieved my goal of decluttering half of my garage. Is it perfect? No. Does it still need some thought on particular items as to whether they will be kept or not? Yes. There is a tent and other camping items that I will revisit over the next few months, once I've thought about them a bit more. Sometimes all you need is a little more time, and that's okay. But it certainly is a great feeling to have the broken dryer out of the way, and I can walk in the garage door without having to squeeze through a gap. There is space to actually move around, and my daughter can be creative and play her drums in an uncluttered area. It was a good outcome for about 3 hours of work. Thank you so much for using your own time to watch this video. Please subscribe if you would like to join our little community. I really appreciate it, and I hope it has motivated someone that you've got this and you can do it. Have a great week, everyone, and I'll see you for part 2 of my garage declutter.